a lot of times in the past, they've had like a flurry of signings like all at once, and then you got to write about 3 different players as fast as you possibly can. But yesterday was nice because they spaced them out pretty nicely throughout the entire day. So like once I was finished writing about one guy and like kind of seeing the reaction to the player they signed and all that stuff, then like the next the next report of the next guy being signed would happen. So it was good the way that happened today. They haven't signed anyone obviously yet today. So yeah, it is slowing down. I think we did see the initial flurry kind of come and go, but they're not going to be done. They're still going to sign a wide receiver, I would think, and maybe another offensive lineman. So you'll still see them bring guys in, but the flurry is over.
Now, I mean, they have the last couple of years. I mean, they were very active last year. They've been active, and it hasn't worked out for them. Are you surprised that they were so active?
No, once they signed Bradford, I figured, okay, well, I think the argument for, maybe not going crazy in free agency was you can get as many as 4 compensatory picks back in return. But once they sign Bradford back and you're not going to get like a third-round compensatory pick back in return for him, then, to me anyway, I thought that they were going to, sign a bunch of guys. And they have plenty of holes, obviously. You're not going to solve all their holes in the draft. It seemed to me like they wanted to be competitive in 2016, so they want to solve those holes in free agency and then kind of be able to draft, really good players as opposed to players that kind of have to fit your needs. So, yeah, I mean, it wasn't too big of a surprise. And again, I didn't think they were going to go crazy with, the really top level free agents or the really, really expensive ones, rather. And that's kind of what they did. They just they did spend a little bit on the safety, Rodney McLeod. They spent a little bit on the offensive guard, Brandon Brooks. But otherwise, I don't think they really went crazy like a lot of other teams did.
Jimmy, you are not a hack sellout, but I did see that you gave grades to all the Eagles' first day of free agency in each position. I want to ask you what you thought of the compensation that they got for the 2 trades.
Crazy. I mean, just in that they were able to trade Murray for anything was crazy to me. I mean, the way that it was going to work with Murray was if they kept him, he would have counted for $8 million against the cap, and he didn't want to be here, and the Eagles didn't want him here. If they cut him, then it would have cost them $13 million against the cap, and they weren't going to take on an extra $5 million just to get him out of the building. This just wasn't going to be a consideration. It's only going to count for $4 million if they were able to trade him. However, his contract is god-awful. So, there wasn't really much of a chance, in my opinion, that they were going to find anyone to take that contract. And somehow they did. They found the Tennessee Titans, who they didn't get much of a return. They moved up 13 spots in the 4th round. That's it. That's fine. They just got rid of that contract. So A+++ on that trade. And then the other trade, of course, they were able to dump Byron Maxwell's contract, and they had included Kiko Alonso in that deal, and they were able to get a really great return there, where they were able to move up from 13 in the first round to 8, and now being at 8, there are just all kinds of new options that are available to them there in terms of the type of player that they can get. Maybe move up if they really move up again, if they really like a player, whether it be a quarterback or some kind of position player, and then they can even move back and acquire more picks. That 8 overall pick is going to be a lot more valuable, obviously, than the 13. So I mean, just for them to be able to move up from 13 to 8, it's really kind of a big deal. And they lose 2 players that they didn't really want, and one of them that was costing a lot of money on the cap.
Yeah, and I would assume, Jimmy, getting on, like Alonzo, everybody seems to be like, I wish I could have seen more if he had anything. I would have to assume that Jim Schwartz kind of gave his blessing that, hey, he doesn't fit into what I'm going to do, so if that's going to make the deal, go for it.
He already knew him. I mean, he already knew Kiko Alonso. He didn't coach him during a regular season because their paths crossed in Buffalo in 2014, and Kiko towards ACL during the offseason that year. So they didn't get to play a regular season together, but he did get a chance to kind of get to know him. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he was really all that sold on Kiko the intellect or Kiko the player, because obviously he wasn't part of their plans. He wasn't costing anything. I mean, he cost a little bit less than $1 million on the cap this year, last year of his rookie contract, and they went out and they spent not a crazy amount of money on Nigel Bradham, the linebacker from Buffalo, but clearly he had a preference for Bradham over Kiko Alonso. So, yeah, I just don't think that that they saw anything there in Kiko Alonso as any kind of answer, either short-term or long-term.
All right, Jimmy Kempski, PhillyVoice.com. I want to get your take then on Chase Daniel and that deal. You know, there's some people who think that he was brought here to compete for the starting job. The salary would suggest that, but do you see that as a possibility that Chase Daniel is here to potentially be the starter this year?
Well, I got to go in to a press conference in a few minutes, and we're going to ask him. So, like, there's no question that he's going to be asked that, and if he doesn't give an answer that the media likes, then they're going to keep hammering away, I would guess. But there were a lot of reports that came out that said that he wasn't going to be just come in and sit behind Sam Bradford. Now, whether that's quote-unquote coach speak, and that, like, oh, everybody's going to compete for a job, and it's all fine and good. That remains to be seen. But they did pay him a lot of money, as you mentioned. There were reportedly a lot of other teams interested in, like as many as a half dozen other teams that were interested in Chase Daniel. And from my perspective, I have to kind of think that he looked at this situation and looked at Sam Bradford as a guy that hasn't really been able to stay healthy throughout his career. Maybe this is his best chance to get some playing time and actually get to be, he's 30 years old. So he's started 2 games in his career. So he may have seen that as his best opportunity. Obviously, Sam Bradford's only here also on a 2-year deal. So, if he gets his chance and plays well, and, this is a situation where maybe this was his best spot if he didn't get chances elsewhere to legitimately compete for another job.
Well, Jimmy, no matter whether it's Chase Daniel or Sam Bradford throwing the football, they need a guy on the other end to catch it, right? You had mentioned earlier that you think they're still going to sign a wide receiver. Is there a wide receiver you have in mind?
I saw a report where his name is escaping me now. A guy from the Raiders. It appears that they have interest in. That's not anything that I was reporting. And again, I don't even remember his name, so I'm not much help here. But yeah, I do know that they are gonna sign a wide receiver at some point. I would think either one, maybe 2. But that's a position where you have Jordan Matthews and you have Josh Huff and you have Nelson Aguilar, and whatever you think of those 3 guys. So those 3 guys are going to be on the team, and they're young, and they still have a chance to grow and do something with this team. But beyond that, they don't have anything. So they don't have anything in the way of depth. They almost kind of have to sign a veteran during this free agency period, and I fully expect them to sign at least 1, maybe 2.
All right, Jimmy, we know you're getting ready to go into the Chase Daniel press conference at the bottom of the hour, and we'll let you run there. I think it's Andre Holmes, the wide receiver that you are looking for. I'm always here to help you, pal.
Yo, Holmes.
Yo, Holmes. Smell you later.
All right, man. Take care. Appreciate the couple minutes.
Appreciate it, guys.